Welcome to the Latin Wealth Podcast, a podcast dedicated to educating the Latino community about entrepreneurship, investing, and business.
Yo, what's going on, Latin Wealth family? Welcome to another episode to Wealth Wednesday. Super excited to be here today talking about what's going on in the world and how it relates to the Latino community. A lot going on with the second half of the year starting. There's a lot that's going to happen as well. So we want to dive into a couple of these different things and just break it down and just have a casual conversation about what's going on in the market. So first and foremost, we want to talk about Bitcoin ETF investors have recently bought into the dip on Friday. So if you guys don't know, when we throw around the word dip, that basically means that the ETF took a dip in the market and essentially it was on sale. So people bought into it. We're going to dive into why that is and why it even took a dip. We'll also be diving into, again, what's the latest on Bitcoin, the election, and some major market takeaways that we're going to dive into as well. So, with that being said, welcome to another episode of Wealth Wednesday. And first off, shout out to y'all for subscribing, liking, commenting, whatever you guys are doing to help out with growing the platform. We appreciate it. We continue to grow steady by steady, little by little, which Jeremiah and I talk about it all the time. That's the way we want to grow, right? We want to take the correct way to success. And I believe that we are doing that. We're growing on YouTube and Instagram. We've had some dope pieces of content and interviews that have been coming out, and we have a couple more that are going to be coming out as well. So we appreciate y'all tapping in. And yeah, with that being said, Jeremiah, how you feeling today, man?
Feeling good. It's always good to have a conversation about where things are headed with the market, but hopefully we can get some gems out for people today. So doing good.
100%. So let's dive right into it. So right after 4th of July, US traders and investors were confronted with a historic plunge in Bitcoin, right? They saw a price that fell more than 10% from the pre-holiday level. So everybody was enjoying their 4th of July, eating hot dogs by the pool, you know what I'm saying, shooting fireworks. Next day, they see a plunge in Bitcoin, which was on a Friday, right? According to numbers compiled by Farside Investors, US-based spot Bitcoin ETFs saw $143 million in net inflow on Friday, the highest level of inflow in at least 2 weeks, right? And so we know, if you guys don't know about the Bitcoin ETFs or what ETFs are, I will link two different episodes down below that you can check out where we break down what an ETF is, and we also broke down what Bitcoin ETFs are. All right. So we know that there's a couple different ones out there, and leading the way was Fidelity Wise Origin Bitcoin Fund, which took in $117 million of new net money. Bitwise Bitcoin ETF, ARK Share Bitcoin ETF also saw some inflows. In addition, Grayscale Bitcoin Trust actually lost outflows. So they actually had money being taken out from their ETF into other places. So I know I said a lot there, but Jeremiah, what are your thoughts on, what's going on with some of these ETFs and, what happened right after 4th of July?
It's interesting that Grayscale saw outflows because Grayscale was one of the originators. I don't think there'd be a spot ETF, right? There wouldn't actually be ETFs for Bitcoin-based trading if it wasn't for Grayscale, because they started this whole thing with their trust and kind of having inflows into the market, right? And trusted investing in the market, but based off Bitcoin. So it's kind of strange that Grayscale had people taking money out essentially and putting it into, I'm sure they probably were taking it out of Grayscale and putting it into the Fidelity.
Well, they mentioned
A
the
lot of it,
fees. They mentioned their
huh?
fees. They mentioned their fees.
Their fees,
Yeah.
yeah, they have a large amount of fees because of the fact that it's based off of a trust structure instead of actually being
Mhm.
like, equities, like
Yep.
equities based, right? we won't bore y'all with that. But basically, you're gonna pay more money to have Grayscale manage the money and how it's moving with the Bitcoins than you would with a firm like Fidelity. And Fidelity's a name, right? So it makes sense that if they got it, Vanguard's another name. So big names in the space of, hey, I got my own brokerage account and I can manage the way this stuff is handled. So I'm thinking that, Bitcoin obviously saw a dip. It'll do that. It's going to do that. But when you see that dip and you're sitting at home, think about this. Friday was the day right after a holiday.
Hmm.
What do you do on a holiday? You sit, like you said, with your family, you're doing hot dogs, blah, 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 right? But then when you're done with all that, most people, if you're in this space, what do? You go look at your stock, you go look
Yep.
at your positions.
Hmm.
You have time to sit and actively look. Whereas usually on a Thursday, in that evening space, you're spending time with the family, but you spend
Hmm.
all day with the family. So now you have more time to actually dive in and look at what you're going to do. And I think that the holiday actually helped with the inflows because it gave time for people to sit down and look at their positions and what they wanted to do. Friday, boom,
100%.
markets open. Most people didn't work on that Friday. They gave them the day
Hmm.
off, right? So all day, all you see is like, oh, it's low. I'm gonna buy in.
Yeah,
And
that's a good
then,
point.
with
Good point.
retail investors, you see people buying in, and then you're like, well, crap, I don't want to miss the upswing. So it creates an upswing. So I think that's what happened. That's a big,
100%.
I mean, think about it. If there's a holiday on Thursday, you got the Friday off, you're gonna be, and if you're into finance, you're gonna be looking at your money,
For
where
sure.
to place it, how to move it. So I think that had a big piece to do with it, along with the fact that we're in the second quarter. It's starting to be pretty clear and evident that obviously and we're not talking politics, but we know which way both sides going, red and
Hmm.
blue, right? We
Hmm.
know which way they're going. Whereas it's going to be another Trump and Biden side of things, right? So the second half of the year is starting to kick up, and I think people are starting to get more money in places they wanted to be in. So regardless of who gets elected, I have my positions either way, and I can buy more if I need to. If it dips, I'll buy more, or if it goes up, I'm in a position to make money. So I think you're
Hmm.
starting to see people get locked in and get hyped up about the second half of the year because the election as well.
No, great point. And I think it's also interesting too what you said about Fidelity, them having that name, that brand. BlackRock, it wasn't, they didn't say that they had, I'm sure they had an inflow, but it wasn't an amount where they actually, I guess, stood out from the pack. I guess if you look at the chart that was sent in the article, and I'll link it down below, um, again, it wasn't a huge outflow or inflow. So I'm curious about like what your thoughts are about that, about BlackRock. It's again, that's one of the brands out there that I think people can trust with their money.
I feel like, well, first off, you have to look at what BlackRock is based upon, and there's a whole history and there's a rabbit hole of that. You should go do your investigation on that. And I think that has a lot to do with BlackRock not standing out or having remarkable gains or losses. They're just
Hmm.
kind of stagnant. Because right now, people are a little bit hard on BlackRock because of the residential real estate stuff that's going on and them
Hmm.
owning like this big group of residential real estate. And obviously, everybody's looking at the housing market. This is a main concern inside of the United States based upon 2008, right? And so you're looking at different things. So I think that kind of that plays a role in it for people's investing process. They're like, I don't know if I really want to have money. I mean, maybe if I got money there, I'm not going to put any more. And so it kind of leaves them stagnant. So I think there's other factors with BlackRock that cause them to be at the position that they're in. But good news for ARK. ARK needed this because ARK has been seeing a bunch of outflows from their hedge fund, from their
Hmm.
actual management of that group. Kathy Wood's seen a lot of outflows from them just based upon they were tech heavy, right? And with them being tech heavy, they weren't overly into the GPU space, right? So they weren't really in AMD, they weren't really in NVIDIA, and so they haven't seen major gains. They were heavy in Tesla,
Hmm.
right? And so they've seen a lot of losses and a lot of people leaving their fund. So I think that this was really good for them that they, kicked it up a little bit. In contrary to BlackRock of not really having that inflow of money coming in.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's super interesting. I took some time to look at the different charts and whatnot, and even with the inflow of money, look, wherever Bitcoin goes, everything else follows. And it's almost incredible if you sit back and look at the 5-day chart for like I think it's Ethereum, same
ETA.
thing as Bitcoin. 6 months chart, all the ETFs are damn near the same as Bitcoin. It follows it damn near to the T. If you play around with the date, you'll kind of see like, wow, again, it follows it directly.
High tide raises all ships, right? It's no
Yeah.
different than, I'll give you an example, right? So Bitcoin essentially is the same as the NASDAQ, right? The NASDAQ being for NVIDIA. NVIDIA is basically pushing the whole NASDAQ. NASDAQ is tech heavy index, right? So if
Hmm.
NVIDIA is having a crazy streak, right? That's high tide. High tide is raising all the ships inside of that ocean, which would be all of your tech stocks inside of that group, inside of NASDAQ. It's going to rise because NVIDIA is rising. It's no different with Bitcoin when it comes to the cryptocurrency side. It's the main feature. It's always going to be it's the stability of the entire crypto alignment, them and Ethereum second, which it's going to follow, right? So if Bitcoin is surging up, everything else is going to surge based upon that. And you may have overall maybe a few outliers that
Hmm.
don't align or whatever, but basically the whole entire industry is going to be based off of that alignment. It's no different than AI aligning with NVIDIA, right? If it's shooting up super high, them open AI, it's going up, then
Hmm.
the rest of the NASDAQ is going to be going up. So that's kind of how you can think of it, because I know some
For
people are
sure.
like, I don't really follow cryptocurrency, but it's the same thing. It's the same
Yeah.
way.
100%. Yeah. And the reason why I brought that up is because Bitcoin is down right now. I don't have the exact price of where they're at. I think they're around 56,000. But even with that inflow, they're still down.
Yeah, I'm looking right now.
I think they're 56,
Um,
57.
yeah, BTC is at, oh, hold up. Yeah, almost, almost 50. It's 56.8.
Hmm.
Now it's shot up. It just updated
Hmm.
57.5. It's on the uptick right now. 57.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, interesting stuff. So transitioning a little bit into some stuff that's even more related to, Bitcoin and the election and what's happening in the market. As we know, the election is happening in November. Going to be very interesting to say the least. We just had the presidential debate that just happened in the past, and we will continue to reiterate that this platform is not left or right. We are in the middle. We're going to give you the
Mm.
information. You take it and you do what you want with it. It's all good. We love y'all either way.
Yeah.
Just keep subscribing.
Yeah.
But we say all that to say, it's interesting because I think it was Yahoo Finance that interviewed BTC Inc. founder David Baily, and he was just recently interviewed and asked how Bitcoin, or how he envisions the direction of the crypto space moving under a second Trump administration. So if you listen to the interview, it's very apparent that he favors the Trump administration, and you can see where his vote is going. That's cool. If you guys don't know what BTC Inc. is, basically they are a leading provider of news and education information about financial technology and cryptocurrency. So basically, in a nutshell, they are a media company for Bitcoin, right? They put on the Bitcoin conferences that happen every year. And so they had him on the platform and they wanted to know his thoughts and opinions on like what's the direction of Bitcoin and crypto. And so he said two things that were pretty interesting to me. He said there are two key drivers for the catalyst of Bitcoin. Number one, he said the recent one is the recent Bitcoin halving, which should be a big push. He mentioned, like, if you look at the history of Bitcoin, usually you'll start to see a shock when the Bitcoin halving happens. And then over time, you'll see a steady growth and rise in the Bitcoin price. Now, the second thing he said is another big catalyst is political parties' alignment with Bitcoin. All right. So this was also very interesting. He said this is kind of a newer catalyst in his opinion, but he revealed that, Donald Trump is very aligned with Bitcoin in his opinion. Uh, Donald Trump's agenda for the United States aligns with Bitcoin as they continue to preserve or pursue energy independence and energy abundance. So these are a couple small takeaways from the interviews. He is the founder of BTC Inc., so he's going to be very bullish on Bitcoin. But overall, what was your thoughts on some of his comments and what was he when he was saying in the interview?
Well, I mean, if you followed Trump recently, just with his crypto coin and its linkage to BTC and things like that, um, Trump has people in his camp that are very locked in with what's going on in the culture,
Mhm.
right? How do you regain? How do you gain? He got Generation X, right? Trump, that's how
Mhm.
he won the first time. He locked in with the majority of Generation X people, make America great again, right? How do you get younger voters? This is how you get millennial and Generation Z. To be honest, millennials and Generation Z, we're not either way. Most of us in this generation, minds and Generation Z, we don't do politics overly, right? We don't like politics at all. Like from what I've sat and talked with people in their 20s, 30s, we don't care for either side. We think they're both horrible. We don't really care either way. We're more looking to see what we can do to revolutionize the political system. And so, how do you get that younger crowd to go with you? You align with something that they align with, which is
Mhm.
cryptocurrency. I'll be honest, I think that without the large adaptation, even though we have spot ETF, which we just talked about, without the large adaptation of accepting Bitcoin with companies and purchases and trade and things like that, we're not at that space yet. It's cool, but we're not seeing major companies, right, that are adopting this as their currency and things that they're going to use. I think it could fix a lot of problems if they did it, but we haven't seen it that grand adaptation, right? I mean, it's getting there, but it's not quite there yet. So with that being said, you could say that you perfectly align with that with Bitcoin. But in the end, Trump is a Republican. The Republican Party aligns with corporate, right? Basically, keep the government out of corporate entities. Let the big companies run their business. Big business is good for America. So at the end of the day, if a big company, Amazon or someone comes and says, we're not accepting Bitcoin and I'm trying to strengthen my cash reserves, so I think you should make legislation that goes against that, they're going to do that.
Mhm.
So that's what I think that people should realize that politicians are politicians.
For
It doesn't
sure.
really matter what they all lie.
Hmm.
There's not a, I haven't, I'm just being honest. I haven't met an
Yeah.
honest politician ever. So I don't really like you could say it aligns, it serves his purpose for the election,
Hmm.
right? And then it comes back around the next year and he's condemning, right? I mean, it's Jamie Dimon, right? It's Jamie Dimon telling you that Chase CEO that's telling you, oh,
Yeah.
it's useless. It has no use, right? But then
Good
Chase
point.
is one of the major buyers of Bitcoin spot ETF and of the actual Bitcoin itself. That's what I'm saying. It's smoke and mirrors. You can believe what you want to believe, and it's cool and it'll work for getting more votes because that's how we are. That's just human nature. We'll believe what we want to believe, but I don't think that I think you can try to align it, but I don't think it's honest. I think it's just Trump being a politician.
Yeah, and
Just
I
being,
think this is, and you made some good points. I think this is a great example of why we need to continue to do our due diligence and watch where we get our information from. So I
there's a
just
narrative. There's a narrative.
there's a narrative. I just said
Mm,
he's the founder of BTC Inc., which is essentially a media company. All
sure.
right. And even in that interview, he mentioned they're looking to raise over $100 million to help with the Trump,
Of course.
presidential campaign.
So what
So
does that
you
tell
don't
you?
think some of their content or their
Of course.
conferences,
And don't get me wrong. Listen, we're just particularly we were just talking about we were
oh,
talking about
you
Trump.
pulled up a hanger, you about to
Yeah, I was about to hit him, bro. I was about to like, you know, I'm sorry. It gets
you,
the passion. Like we're talking about this, but I need people to understand Biden isn't even cognitive enough to even know what Bitcoin is. I don't know if he can put a
yeah.
sentence together. I'm
Mm.
not I'm not either way. I'm not going against Trump to say Biden or however whatever. We're just speaking
Facts of
particularly
fact.
about Trump and his alignment. Guys, you have to do your own research. You just said it. Do like we talk about this all the time. Do your due diligence. Don't be swayed by people you read something in it, but you got to look at the context of it. That's why I like Yahoo Finance. We always talk about Yahoo.
Mhm.
Chris, most of our stories come from Yahoo. They're clearly, they don't care either way. They're clearly about the money. So they're just going to report whatever something is, and then you take from it what you want to take from it. That's what I like about them. So do your due diligence, understand that where the story comes from has a lot to do with the way that it's being swayed.
Hmm.
Okay. Um, don't be I would just say don't be swayed either way. Do your realize what's really going on, look at the holistic picture of it, and then take from there your deductions and do whatever with that information, what you're going to do with it. That's what I
For
would say.
sure. Now, something else that he brought up in this interview, unrelated to the election, is they asked him, like, what do you think is the future of Bitcoin? For the person that hasn't purchased Bitcoin, like, what is the use case for that person, right? Why should they be swayed to buy Bitcoin, right? Or invest in Bitcoin? And he said it depends on the buyer. It depends on, like, what your use case is and like what you're gonna do with it. But he says when he looks at Bitcoin, he makes the case of Bitcoin as the kind of primary asset of a future monetary system.
Mhm. I think that you should. I mean, I would agree, but it's going to take what we said, that grand,
Hmm.
right? The overall adaptation of it as a fiat, right,
Hmm.
for business to be conducted. Some companies are taking it, but we don't see that grand adaptation between Apple and Walmart and that, right? When you start to
Hmm.
see those things, then okay, you're moving in that space to where he's saying it becomes another fiat. So eventually, if it removes cash, cash has already overly been replaced, right, with the debit card and
Hmm.
used to. So you don't see a lot of people using cash. Cool, but to move from the dollar to say now Bitcoin is our standard, I'm not saying that's not going to happen. I'm just saying we're a ways out, right? You got commodity traders and stuff like that that deal with different countries and things like that that want the dollar to get strengthened.
Hmm.
So they're not going to do something that's going to weaken the dollar's position overall. They're going to seek to continue to push that dollar and build the strength of the dollar. So I mean, yeah, I got Bitcoin, but
Hmm.
I also got gold and I also have oil and I also have tech and also, right? So it's like, be diversified. I couldn't see putting major gobs of money into Bitcoin. I know people that have done it and
For
they
sure.
won big. Don't get me wrong. Like, but just overall, like as an investor, because you asked about new investors, the
Hmm.
best way to invest is to be diversified. That's just common sense. I mean, I think that, Warren Buffett tells you that. And then, utilizing indices. So use an index, right? Because then that kind of hedges your money. So that's what I would say. And obviously, the ETF that you have from Bitcoin gives you that. So maybe you don't want to invest directly into the Bitcoin and you do an ETF. Don't get the huge gains, but you don't get the losses as much.
100%. And I think you posted something pretty interesting. I think it was like 2 days ago. You were like, yo, this is kind of scary. And you can break it down, but younger investors, where they're putting their money at as far as investments. I think I seen NFTs were like above index or ETFs or something like
Yeah.
that. And NFTs, I don't know if you want to play that game.
I'm just, it had Millennials were the highest, right? Because we're the older. We're in our 40s, right? Early 40s to 30, right? So the millennials were the highest of have utilizing cryptocurrency, NFTs, things like that, right? Utilizing alternative alt investing, right? It was like 45% of us has the majority of our money is in that. Like, and I'm
Mm,
just like,
mm,
geez, that's dangerous because, like, well, is it really? Because the government, I'm like, well, you got to play the game. It's not, I understand us wanting to be outside of the game, but you have to learn to play the game properly and be outside the game. Do multiple things at once. But
mm.
to put almost 50% of your money, right, of what you're investing into cryptocurrency, I don't know, man. It's super volatile. It's more volatile than equity. So it was weird to me, you know.
It's yeah, it is. It could definitely be scary, and that's just 50% of people putting their money in crypto. That's not even which crypto. Are we
Exactly.
talking some
Oh, and
random
most of
Dogecoin?
Yeah, no, most of them are putting them in meme coins. That's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
biggest
yeah.
thing. Generation like younger millennials, Generation Z, they're more into pump and dumps, right? So they're into meme coins than even the more stable Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, right?
Mm,
Solano, things like that. They're more into freaking Ripple. They're more into
mm,
meme coins. So
mm.
Dogecoin, whatever, something comes out new every day.
Every day, man. Every day,
It's,
all day.
yeah.
Yeah, it's man, it's goes back to the mindset that we need to continue to develop, which is we can't have a microwave mindset society. Like we have to get rid of that.
We do.
That doesn't that's not good in any scenario, whether it's
No,
relationship, business, investing, having that mindset where you just want something quick, make a return quick, probably not going to end up good for you, man. Just like think about it. Like a home cooked meal by your mom is 10 times better than you just
always.
throwing a frozen meal in the microwave.
Always. There's a love, there's a time, there's the effort, there's the experience that
Effort,
goes into it. It's no different with,
experience. Yeah.
right? There's the time, there's the effort. It's funny, I sit with clients and we have our brokers, right? And guys sit with me and they're new agents and they're coming in, their advisors are trying to learn this game. And they're like, well, I just want to go out here and talk like you do. And I'm like, God, there's time that's been put into this. You're
Yeah.
not going to do that. It's the same with investing. And what we're doing on this side, guys, when you come into the game, it takes time. This isn't something you're just going to get overnight. Have there been some overnight successes? Yes,
For
but
sure.
it was luck, right? Could you I tell people this, and this is, we can move on, but here's the thing. If it's not a skill set, then it can't be repeated. If it
Mhm.
can't be repeated, then it's probably not the best thing to do. Like you want something that's repeatable. You want something that I can package it, take it to this person over here, and they can do it. Someone off the street, I can give them that package and they can go and do something very similar. Right. And that's what you want when it comes to investing. You instead of the, unicorn, uh, you know, I
Yeah.
got $10 million off of Bitcoin. That doesn't happen very often. So it's like build the skill sets is what I'm saying. That delayed gratification. We talked about that all the
Yeah,
time.
we talked about it. And I think to your point about those unicorns, those home runs, could you hit on them? Can they happen? Absolutely. But the thing about it is you have to be in the game.
Gotta be in the game.
You got to be at bat. You got to have some at bats. You got to be hitting those singles, doubles, and then, once in a
Yes.
while you get the home run. But you got to
Yes.
be in the game.
But also in the game, don't swing for a home run every time.
Yeah, it's very
The most
true.
successful, if we're talking about baseball, the most successful baseball players are the guys that got on base the most,
For
right?
sure.
They hit singles, they hit doubles. These guys, they just got on base the most. Then they could steal, they could do whatever they wanted. But we're saying don't swing for the fences every single time. You're going to strike out more than you get on
Mhm.
base. The game is getting on base, putting yourself in play, being able to see, okay, I lost. Okay, I lost 2% there. Okay, I learned from that. Oh, dang, all right. I shouldn't have. I did this. I should have done this. Dang, I should probably listen on this one because I don't really know that much about this
Mhm.
company. I need to ask somebody about this. So you mix and you learn from experience. It's no different than anything in life. Some things in life is just universal truths, and that's one of them.
Mm.
Trying to get away from that microwave society that we've become.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. One last question I have. I want to know, what is your inner circle saying about the second half of the year? What is their thoughts about the election? I mean, we don't got to get too political or deep into it, but just like some quick thoughts on, what's happening. It seems like right now, I could be wrong, but it seems like people are just kind of like in the middle, just trying to see what happens, which way it swings. But what are your thoughts?
So inner circle wise, when we have conversations with me and my guys, we're talking about we don't care either way, which way it
Mhm.
goes. Obviously, Trump is going to be more beneficial for business. People want Trump to win in the business standard of things. Biden he's shown senility, I guess you would say. He's not quite there. I think that could be everyone could say that. So you want somebody that's a little bit more active in business. Now, here's the problem. We understand that if Trump wins, right, uh, it's polarizing, right?
Mhm.
So he's not going to be able to do a whole bunch of stuff because he's going to get fought on a lot of it. And so you have to put yourself in a position that says, hey, if things stall or things stagnate, what type of companies or industries can we invest in that are going to make money regardless? What what does well even when people are just living their day-to-day type lives? And so the thought process is for us, it's like we're gonna look at things that keep us good. Commodities, gold is always gonna do what it does, right?
Mhm.
Oil is gonna do what it does, and it dips, but it overall, right, the gain is good. So commodities is a good sector right now. And of course, tech. So we're always looking at AI based stuff now, and it's not a bubble, it's real, right? NVIDIA is at where it's at, but then you got to look at the ones that are coming up: AMD,
Mhm.
TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor. If we can stay out of war there. So these are the things we're looking at: tech, commodities. Those are heavy. Bitcoin's probably third, right? So alternate investments are probably third on that list. That's inner circle conversation.
Yeah, love that. I mean, that pretty much aligns with the way I think, man. I don't put my full trust in another human being to make my life better. And I think as Latinos, we tend to do that. We lean too much on somebody else to make our situation better for us.
The president is not, listen, you're the president of your home, right?
Mm,
You're the king of your castle. If you're a man, you're a queen if you're a woman, right? Focus on what you can do. All right. Focus on what your actions be. We have a kind of a motto or something we're following right now, slogan, and it's IEE, right? So we're intentional, we're effective, and we're efficient. That's
mm,
what we're focusing on for us as a brokerage. I think that should be something for every family. You want to be intentional with your decisions that you're making. You want them to work, right? So effectiveness of what you're doing, it needs to actually work. And then how efficient are you? Does it take too long for it to work? Can you streamline it? So when it comes to your family's finances and the thought processes of the way that you're doing things, I would take that into consideration. You're in control of your life. No president or anybody's going to come and save you or help you with it. Like I mean, it's crazy that we think that way, but that's
mhm.
not the way that it works.
100%. And yeah, I mean, look, we wanted to bring you all this information to give you an update about what's going on in the market, what's going on in the world, how it relates to us. At the end of the day, the thing that we always preach is do your due diligence, take this information, apply it to your life. Application is very, very important. We can sit here and you can listen to these episodes and these shows and say, I'm getting smarter, but the gold is when you apply it, right? So, look, we appreciate y'all for tapping in, tuning in. If you found this episode valuable, learned anything, please share this episode with one other person. It would mean the world to us. And any other thing before we get out of here, Jeremiah?
No, super appreciative of everybody that's been commenting. Again, look forward to the episode we're going to have talking about some different things when it comes to the Puerto Rico. I appreciate
Mhm.
everybody that tapped in on that on Instagram. Guys, make sure you subscribe, pass this information on. We just want to say that we do appreciate everybody tapping in on that.
Yes, sir. And on that note, it's the Latin Wealth family. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
Peace, guys.